Hello ladies and gentlemen, in today's video we will take a bunch of still pictures and create an animated GIF in PowerPoint. So let's call this awesome runner Jack. Hey Jack, how you doing? Could you please stop for a second? Of course, one skill. And now let's take Jack and place him in this little wonderful forest world with some floating rocks. And let's animate Jack. Hey Jack, could you please run to the right side? Of course. That's wonderful. Hey Jack, could you please jump on this rock on the right side? No problem. And what about this rock on the left side? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. One more jump? That's right. Alright, and Jack returns to the same place where he has started his journey. And now let's make it more fun for Jack. Let's insert some coins that he can collect along the way. And once Jack touches the coin will disappear and we will see some additional information pop up on the screen. So let's check it out how it looks like. Alright Jack, could you please jump to the right side? Of course. Alright, and here comes the first Fact 1 text box. And of course you can type in anything that you wish. Alright, let's go for the next coin. Fact box number 2, that's wonderful. And the last coin and the last box. So I think this could be a really fun and engaging way to present some ideas for your audience. I'm sure they will love it. And now let me show you how you can create this in PowerPoint step by step. Before we get started, I want to say huge thanks to DataCamp for sponsoring today's video and supporting One Skill channel. DataCamp is an online learning platform that makes it easy to build data skills. You can learn at your own pace with interactive courses and hands-on exercises. What's awesome is that no previous data skills are needed to get started. You'll find courses for all different skill levels, from data fundamentals to data visualization to data science coding courses in Python, R, and SQL. Currently, I continue my journey of learning Python on DataCamp, and all I can say is that the learning experience is super awesome, with all of those easy-to-follow videos and interactive coding exercises. So definitely invest in yourself, use my link in the video description box below. All first chapters of DataCamp's courses are free. And now let's continue with the video. Alright my dear friends, so let's jump into the world of PowerPoint. And today I'm working on a Mac and my PowerPoint version is Microsoft 365. If you're working on Windows, your PowerPoint might look just a little bit different, but don't worry, you'll be able to follow this tutorial just fine. And I want to say huge thanks to Joy Project 21 who has participated in my recent PowerPoint contest. You have recreated Super Mario in PowerPoint. So thank you very much for your awesome entry, you have inspired today's video. If you'd like to check out this entry once again, link is in the video description. Alright, so let's open up fresh blank new presentation and I think we can start with creating that animated runner Jack. So let's jump to freepik.com, we will use this awesome illustration and this way we will save some time, link is in the video description. Now let's just click on this green button and by the way don't forget to provide all of the credits and attributions. And please note that this file is provided in EPS, it's not possible to import EPS directly into PowerPoint. We first need to convert it to SVG and for that we can use cloudconvert.com. Let's just make sure that we choose EPS and we would like to convert it to SVG. Alright. Now let's just select the file with that illustration where the Jack is, okay? And let's convert it. And now EPS should be converted to SVG and now we can download it to our computer. And by the way, you have probably noticed this little mountain icon at the top of my screen, and this is NordVPN. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, a service that protects your internet connection and your privacy online. And today we'll be doing quite a lot of internet browsing and NordVPN will keep us safe by hiding our IP address and protecting our data. So if you would like to be safe when browsing the internet, click the NordVPN link in the video description or use code OneSkill to get a 2-year plan plus a bonus gift with a huge discount. That's awesome, let's get back to PowerPoint. And now we can go to Insert, Pictures, and let's find this picture somewhere on my computer. Here it is, let's make sure it's SVG, and now we can insert it into PowerPoint. That's awesome. And now if we would right-click on the illustration and try to ungroup it, as you can see the ungroup option is not available because we have to convert it to shape first. But before doing that, let me just zoom out a little bit and let's resize this illustration so that those small figures become much bigger. I think this way the animated GIF that we will create later on will have much better quality. Alright, so I think this is good enough. Now let's bring this whole illustration to the center of the view just like that, and now we can convert it to shape. Alright, and now we can ungroup it into individual parts. That's wonderful. Alright, and now I think we can delete this light blue background and these white rectangles. You can just hold down the Shift key to select all of them, and after that just hit delete. Alright, now let's make sure that we select all of these figures and group them into separate groups. So if you're on Windows, hit Ctrl G. If you're on Mac, hit Option Command G. Alright, so let's make sure we group all of these guys into separate groups. And as you can see, we basically have a run cycle animation broken down into separate pictures or frames. So let's count how many frames do we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now let's decide which frame should be the first frame. So let's say this is our still position. So I think this frame could be the first frame. Now this guy could go to the last position, somewhere right here. And let me actually position all of these guys in one row, and this way it will be much easier to follow what I'm doing. Let's just make sure that we place them in the correct order. Alright, and once we're finished, let's select all of these guys, and we will go to Align Options. So let's just drag and select everything. Let's go to Align Options, and let's choose Align to Top. Alright. And for this guy on the left side, let's make sure we resize him so that he has the same height as the rest of the frames. But as you can see, his arms and legs are super huge. He might be a Superman. Let me show you how we can fix this. So let's check what is the width of the arms or the lines on this illustration. Let's go to Format, Shape, Line Width, and let's just select and copy this value. And let's paste this value to this guy. Alright, and this way we can apply the same line width to this frame on the left side. And let's do the same for the legs. Alright, now everything is looking wonderful. Now let me select this first frame, let's cut it, and let's paste it on a separate slide. We will use this guy a little bit later on. And now let's get back to slide number 1, and let's select all of these runners. Let's move them a little bit downwards, just like that. And now let's just right click somewhere outside of the slide, let's go to Guides, and let's choose Add a Horizontal Guide. We will use this guide to position all of these frames in a perfect way. And now let's zoom in to frame number 1, and let's make sure that this foot is touching the horizontal guide. Let's do the same for frame number 2. And for frame number 3, let's insert additional horizontal guide. Alright. One more guide, and let's position it a little bit higher, because this is where a little jump is starting to happen. That's why we have to move frame number 3 a little bit higher. And don't worry about the gaps between the frames, because later on we will put all of these frames on top of each other. And now let's move to frame number 4. Alright, so let's make sure that frame number 4 is touching this upper guide as well. That's awesome. And for frames number 5, 6, and 7, let's make sure that these frames are touching the bottom guide. Alright, frames 8 and 9, let's move them up. And for the last frame, let's make sure that it touches the bottom guide. Alright, now all of the frames are perfectly aligned on the horizontal axis. That's beautiful. Now we can delete these horizontal guides, we don't need them anymore. Thank you very much. And now we can jump to Selection pane and let's see what's going on. So let's just click on this Arrange button and let's go to Selection pane. As you can see, all of these groups are expanded, so let's collapse them. Now let's make sure that we select frame number 1 and let's give it a proper name in the Selection pane. So let's just type in 1 and let's make sure that we bring frame number 1 to the top of the Selection pane list. Now let's rename the second frame and let's move it just below frame number 1. And let's do the same procedure for all of these frames, renaming and placing at the correct place in the Selection pane. So it's really important for all of these groups to have proper names and to sit in the correct place in the Selection pane, because later on we'll be adding animations, and if we do everything correct now, later on everything will go smooth as butter. Okay, so for now we are finished with the Selection pane and we can jump to Animation pane and start adding animations. Alright, so let me just zoom in a little bit closer. And let's select the first frame, and let's add to this first frame exit animation, which is called disappear. Let's just click it. And now you can see it in the animation pane. Let's make sure it starts with previous, which means it starts automatically. But we don't want this first frame to disappear immediately. That's why we add a 0.1 delay. Alright. And now let's select the second frame. And first of all, let's add an appear animation. And let's make sure it starts after previous, which means after the first frame disappears, then the second frame appears. That's awesome. And let's add one more animation to the second frame. Let's add disappear animation. Okay, let's make sure it starts with previous, and once again let's add a 0.1 second delay so that this frame has some chance to show itself and then it will disappear. Alright, now we can select the second frame, double click the animation painter and paste the same animation to the rest of the frames. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Alright, so once we're done, we can click on the animation painter to deactivate it. And as you can see, all of the animations have been added. And now we can select all of these runners. And let's go to align options and let's align everything to the center. So all of these runners are sitting on top of each other. And once we play the presentation, all of these frames should show and hide themselves one after the other. So let's check it out. Alright, so here's the result. Let me rewind and let's check it out once again. Alright, and now we can convert this first slide to animated GIF. Let's just go to export. And for the file format, let's choose animated GIF. Here it is. Alright. And let's make sure that we're selecting just the first slide. Okay, so for the image quality, let's choose extra large. And let's make sure we check this option, make background transparent, because we don't want our GIF to have this white background. Let's make it transparent. And by the way, if you don't have this option in your PowerPoint version, I'll show you how you can remove the background later on. So now let's just insert a blank new slide. And let's insert this GIF that we have just created. Alright, and as you can see, here's our animated GIF. It looks a little bit choppy. Don't worry, I'll show you how we can fix that. As you can see, it has transparent background, so that's awesome. And it's looping constantly, so that's awesome as well. Alright, so now we can stop this GIF for a moment. And now let's jump to this website called easegif.com/effects. And now let's just upload this GIF that we have just created in PowerPoint. Alright, and now let's click on upload. And here we can see our awesome animated GIF, which is a little bit choppy, and for that reason let's go to this section called frames, and here we can see all of the frames that make up our animation. And as you can see, frame 11 is empty, so let's just skip it. Let's click on the skip button. And as well, you can see that all of these frames have delay values 13 or 8. So let's just make it the same number everywhere. Let's just use 8. I guess these are milliseconds or something like that. Alright. And now let's just click make a GIF, and don't forget to select this option, don't stack frames. And you can test it out what happens if you don't select that option. Alright. And one more thing that we can do is crop our GIF, because it takes quite a lot of space. And I think we can crop all of those transparent pixels. So let's just go to this option, trim transparent pixels, and let's select crop. And now we have awesome, smooth, animated, cropped GIF. And now we can just save it. And now we can import it into PowerPoint. So once again, let's just insert a new slide. And now let's insert our modified supercharged GIF. And let's see how it looks like. We can compare it with the previous one. And as you can see, Jack is running smoothly. The GIF itself takes up less space on the slide. And the background is still transparent. So that's super awesome. And this is our previous GIF. As you can see, it is a little bit choppy, but with the help of EaseGIF, we have polished it. That's awesome. And by the way, if you don't have this option, make GIF background transparent in PowerPoint, you can go to EaseGIF, Effects, and here you have this option, replace color with transparency. So you can choose white if your GIF background is white, and hopefully it will help you to make your GIF transparent. Alright? Okay, so I think we can delete slide number 3. Let's use this new modified GIF. Alright. So the GIF is ready, and now it's the time to add this beautiful forest background. Okay, so once again, I have found this illustration on freepik.com, link is in the video description. And as you can see, we have some shiny balls in this illustration, so I guess we'll have to remove these shiny balls because we will add some shiny coins. Alright, so let's make sure we download this illustration. And once again, keep in mind that this illustration is provided in EPS format. And this time converting this illustration to SVG would not work because this illustration is quite complex, it has some gradients. So converting it to SVG will not bring you, good results. So for this illustration, let's use photopea.com. And now let's just drag this forest EPS file directly into Photopea. Okay. And here on the right side, we can see all of the layers that make up this illustration. Okay, so let's just expand these layers. And now all we have to do is find a layer, which is basically these shiny balls, and just hide them in the selection pane. Okay, so here's the group which is responsible for those shiny balls that we're trying to get rid of. And now let's just hide this layer. That's all. And this illustration is a little bit too wide, so we can use the crop tool and crop this illustration to aspect ratio 16:9. Alright, just insert the aspect ratio 16:9 and click on the check mark. Okay. And by the way, if you would like to adjust the position of these floating islands, you can do that as well. We just have to find the right layers in the layer pane. Alright, so here are those flying islands, and of course you can resize them, reposition, and do anything that you wish. And don't forget to export your Photopea file as PNG. I have already done it, so let me just copy this forest picture from my previous presentation and let's paste it right here. Control-C, Control-V, or Command-C, Command-V. I think you know this shortcut. Alright, so here's the selection pane, and currently we have this beautiful picture. I have named it BG, background, in the selection pane. And now we can jump to the second slide and let's copy the standing jack. Command-C or Control-C to copy. Command-V to paste. Alright, so as you can see now the jack is super huge, so let's resize him. And once again, as you can see, we have this issue with the line width, so I guess we can just paste Jack as a picture. And now once we resize him, there should be no problems. I think we can leave him as a picture. There is no big reason to leave him as a vector shape because we will not be changing the colors of the shirt or anything like that. Alright. And now let's jump to selection pane and let's give Jack a proper name, for example, still start. So this is the position when Jack is just standing still before he starts running. And now let's make a quick copy. You can hold down Ctrl-Shift key. And for this copy on the right, let's call it still end. So this is the position when Jack finishes running and then he, starts standing still once again. So we have still start and still end. Two Jacks. And to make it more fun, let's bring in one more jack. So let's go to slide number 3 and let's copy this animated jack that we have created. So let's just rename it in the selection pane. Let's call him running. Now let's just copy him and let's paste him into our forest slide. Alright. Now let's make sure that we resize him and that he has pretty much the same proportions as the rest of the jacks so that everything looks correct. You can always try matching the heads of different characters, and this way they should match pretty nicely. Alright, now let's position this running jack just behind the starting jack. Okay, as you can see, if we hide the starting jack in the selection pane, we can see the running jack. That's awesome. But for now, let's actually hide the running jack so it's easier to work with this starting jack. And now let's go to animations. And now let's open up the animation pane and let's add a disappear animation to this starting jack. So let's go to exit animations and let's click on disappear animation. And as you can see, this animation starts on click. So let's leave it this way for now. All right. And now let's go to selection pane and now let's hide the starting jack and let's unhide the running jack. Now we will add some animations to this running jack. So let's make sure we select the running jack. Let's go to animation pane. And the first animation that we will add to this running jack will be appear animation. So let's click on appear and let's make sure it starts with previous, which means when the starting jack will disappear, the running jack will appear. And now let's add one more animation to the running jack. Let's make sure he is selected. And now let's go to motion paths and let's choose line. Okay. Now we just have to adjust the direction. Now it's facing down. So let's go to direction and let's choose right. We want this running jack to run to the right side. And now we can grab this red bubble and adjust how far jack is running to the right side. So let's align it with this ending jack. Okay. And let's make sure that this motion path starts with previous as well. No smooth start, no smooth end. Okay. And now in the selection pane, we can unhide the starting jack. Okay. And now we can check out what do we have so far. Alright, so once we click, jack starts running to the right side, but as you can see, we still have to do some work here on the right side. Okay, so let's make sure that the running jack is selected. We can go to selection pane and select the running jack. And now let's add one more animation to the running jack. Let's add a disappear animation. Okay, and let's make sure it starts after previous. So once jack is finished running, he will disappear. And at the same time, we have to make sure that the standing jack will appear once the running is finished. So let's make sure we select still end and let's add appear animation to still end jack. And let's make sure it is started with previous. So once the running animation is finished, still end jack will appear. So let's check it out on the full screen. Alright, so once we click, jack starts running, and when he's finished, he's just standing. Everything according to the plan. But as you can see, if I click one more time, we just jumped this end slide. So to fix that, we can go to slideshow and go to setup slideshow, and we can choose this option browse at kiosk full screen. And now all of the keyboard keys and mouse clicks will be disabled except triggered animations and links. So this way you can make sure that no one accidentally advances the slide. Okay, now let's go to animation pane. Let's make sure we select all of these animations and let's add a trigger to these animations and let's choose still start, which means that all of these animations will be started only then when we click on the starting jack. Alright? And clicking anywhere else would produce no results, so that's the power of kiosk mode. Kiosk mode, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now we can duplicate the last slide. Alright. Let's go to selection pane, let's hide the running jack for now, it will be easier to work with these standing jacks, so let's make sure we select both of them. And now let's align them to the right side, just like that. Because now we want the starting jack to have the same position as the ending jack, okay? Now let's make sure that we select the ending jack and we bring him to a new position, which is on this rock on the right side. That's awesome. And now we can unhide the running jack. So he is still right here. We'll have to bring him closer and as well we will have to change him because currently he's running and we'd like him to be jumping. So we can use one of the frames from our slide number 1, for example this one. So let's just copy this frame. And now let's get back to slide number 4. And now just right click on this running jack and let's use change picture from clipboard. And as you can see, jack is not running anymore, he is basically frozen in this jumping position and this is what we need, so let's bring him closer. And by the way, we will need to adjust the motion path because this motion path was set to go to right and now we have to jump on this rock on the right side. So we'll have to adjust the shape of the motion path, alright? So let's make sure that we select this motion path animation in the animation pane. And now let's go to path animation and instead of lines, let's choose turns. Okay, and in the effect options, let's choose upright. Okay, and now let's bring this jumping jack to the starting position where the starting standing jack is. And now the motion path is pretty much right on spot. Let's zoom in, we'll have to adjust this motion path a little bit. And now let's jump to selection pane and let me hide the starting jack so that we can focus on the running jack. Well, actually he is jumping, so you can rename him to jumping if you wish. And now we can right click on the motion path and let's choose edit points. And now we can see all of the points that make up this motion path. So we can delete these points in the middle. Let's just leave the starting point and the ending point. And we can adjust the position of the ending point so that we land where this standing jack is. And as well, we can use these wide handles to adjust the shape of this motion path line. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And let's make sure we remove smooth start and smooth end from this animation. And for the duration, let's use half a second and let's check it out. Alright, I think we have a pretty nice jump. Alright, and if this tutorial was not yet tricky enough, let's add one more trick. Let's select all of the animations on slide number 5 and let's actually remove the animation trigger, okay? And for this first animation, let's make sure it starts with previous. So all of the animations on this slide will start automatically, okay? Now let's make sure that all of the jacks are visible in the selection pane. That's awesome. Now let's jump to slide number 4. Let's select the ending jack. And now we will insert a link to this ending jack. Let's go to Insert and click on Link. That's wonderful. And let's choose Next Slide. Which means when we will click on this ending jack on slide number 4, we will jump to the next slide and we will see this jumping animation. So let's check it out if everything is working according to the plan. And by the way, we're still in the kiosk mode, which means random mouse clicks are not working unless we click on animation triggers or links. So let's check it out. And hooray, we jump to the next slide and we see the jump animation. Alright, now let's take care of the next jump to the left side. Okay, so let's duplicate the last slide. That's awesome. Now we can go to selection pane and let's hide the running jack for now. That's good. And as before, let's select both of the jacks and let's align the starting jack to the ending jack, okay? And now we can flip both of these jacks to the left side. Let's just flip them horizontally so that they're facing to the left side, okay? And now let's make sure we select the ending jack and we bring him to new location on this floating island in the center of the slide. That's awesome. Alright, let's unhide the running jack. So we will have to flip him horizontally as well. Let's bring him to new position. And I think we'll have to adjust the motion path a little bit, so let's make sure we select it in the animation pane, right click and choose edit points. Alright, so let's just drag this ending point to new position. That's good, and we can use those white handles to adjust the trajectory of the jump. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Alright, so let's check it out how it looks like. That's a wonderful jump. Alright, and as we did before, let's go to the previous slide, let's select the ending jack and let's insert a link that takes us to the next slide. Alright. So the ending jack in slide number 4 takes us to slide number 5, and the ending jack in slide number 5 takes us to slide number 6. So that's the whole process, okay? Let's check it out on the full screen. Alright, so now we jump to the next slide, and now we jump to the next slide. That's super awesome. Alright, and now we have 2 more jumps to make, and since you already know how to make these jumping slides, I will speed up and I will meet you in a second. Alright, so let's check out how the animations are looking so far. We run to the right side, we jump on this first rock, we jump to the second rock, we jump to the third rock, and we come back to the starting position. That's super awesome. Alright, so now let's insert some coins that the jack could collect when he is running around, okay? And once again, we can jump to freepik.com and here we will find this awesome illustration. It is provided in EPS format as the rest of the illustrations. And I think Photopea is the best choice for selecting those individual shapes that we need. So we'll be using this board and this little coin. So I have already extracted the shapes that we need. So let me just copy them from my previously created slides and let's just paste them into our presentation that we're working on currently. Alright, so let's paste these shiny coins into slide number 4. That's good. Now let's go to slide number 5. Let's paste these coins right here as well. Alright, let's go to slide number 6. Let's paste the coins again. And this time let's make sure that we delete this coin on the right side because it will be already collected by Jack. Okay, and for slide number 7, let's make sure that we leave just one coin on the left side because the rest of the coins will be already collected by Jack. And for the last slide, we need no coins, okay? And now we will have to add animations to these coins, so once Jack jumps on a coin, that coin should disappear. Okay, so let's go to slide number 5, and here Jack jumps to the right side. And when he touches the coin, that coin should disappear, so let's select that coin. Let's go to selection pane, let's make sure it's selected, and now let's go to animations, let's go to exit animation, and let's try float out animation, okay? Let's make sure it floats up, looking good, And let's make sure it starts with previous, which means when the jack will jump, the coin will float out. Looking good. And now we'll have to add the same animation for this coin on slide number 6, so we can just use the animation painter and copy the same animation from the previous slide and paste it to coin on slide number 6. Alright? Looking good. And once again, we can use the animation painter and paste the same animation to this coin on slide number 7. Okay, so now let's check it out on the full screen and see if all of the coin animations are working as expected. So here comes the first coin, that's good. Here's the second coin, and here's the last one. Okay, and the final step is adding a board with some text, and this board will pop up once Jack collects a coin. So let me just copy this board from my previously created slides to save some time, and let's paste this board into slide number 5. And let me delete the animation that came with this board. We will create this animation from scratch. And this board is just 2 pictures and 2 text boxes. Nothing fancy. Alright, so let's make sure that this whole group is selected and let's add a flying animation to it. Let's set the direction from bottom and let's make sure that this animation starts with previous. So when the coin disappears, this pop-up box will appear. And we can add a bounce end to this animation as well. So this board could be used for providing additional information about the coin that Jack has collected, or you could share any other information that you would like with your audience. And now we can just copy this board and paste it to slide number 6 and 7. Of course, change the text to anything that you wish. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and here is the final result. Congratulations, now you know how you can gamify your PowerPoint presentation. And I'm sure your audience will love it. Thank you for watching, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you on my next video.
That